hang
All
on.
right.
Hang on 1 second. I got to get a magazine.
Okay.
All right. Now I'm good to go.
All right, my friend. Here we go. Welcome, everyone, to Hemp Your Health. I'm Christy Thiel, Director of Education at C2 System, and your host. I really want to thank you for being here and making time for yourself, for your health, and your education. And today we have such a pioneer and a wealth of wisdom. Our guest is Steve Hoffman, and I'm going to explain why he is such the bomb in the organic, sustainable, and regenerative industries. So Steve, there's pages. Let me start with the present moment. Steve is the founder and managing director of Compass Natural. Compass Natural, it provides multi-level services to the natural, organic, mission-based, sustainable hemp and CBD business. They also do PR and programming for the leading trade shows and conferences in the hemp industry. So these are like NOCO and Southern Hemp Expo. And if you haven't been to these, please go, whether it's in person or virtual, because the best of the best show up and you will learn a whole lot. Steve is also the editor of Let's Talk Hemp. This is a very informative site and the articles are phenomenal. So please check out Let's Talk Hemp. Steve is also the program director of Natural Products Expo, East and West.
Formerly.
Oh, you're former. Well, that is a huge job in and of itself because it's the world's largest natural and organic products trade expo. So I was wondering how you got to do all these things.
Well, that's what time is for. You stretch them out. You can't do it all at once, right? But I will say that my work with New Hope Network and the Natural Products Expo is the biggest natural and organic product shows in the world. Have certainly lent some experience in working with Morris Beagle and Elizabeth Knight and Lori Buteris over at WAFBA. We Are for Better Alternatives. They're the folks that produce the NOCO Hemp Expo and publish Let's Talk Hemp. So I'm really pleased to bring all that natural products experience to the hemp industry in working with them and the awesome mission that they have. I mean, their name WAFBA is a mouthful, but it really means we are for better alternatives, of which hemp is the centerpiece.
That is so cool. And we're going to dig into why it's the centerpiece here in just a second. I still have a moment to go with your bio.
Well, thank you. I'm humbled. Thank you.
Steve is a Penn State graduate. He also has his Master's of Science from Penn State in agriculture.
And you're from there.
I am. So, it's really cool because a lot of our team here at C2 System graduated and went to Penn State. I am from State College. We have this whole hub of Penn State and Pennsylvania people. So this is just our little family here. It's just like,
Go
you
State.
belong. I love this. So in the mid-1980s, Steve served as an agricultural extension agent at Penn State, where he helped advance peer-reviewed scientific research and education behind the benefits of organic food and farming. You are at the core and the pulse of this. Steve also established 125 food gardens in low-income Hispanic neighborhoods in Philadelphia over 3 years.
Well, I just helped. Really, we worked with the neighbors in the community to do that. But I might be getting involved down in Denver. A friend of mine is getting involved with urban gardens down there. So might see what we can do to help that. I think it's a particular need right now.
Yes, I totally agree. I need a garden. You also served in the Peace Corps in Honduras and Costa Rica, where you contributed to natural gardening or natural agriculture and education.
Yeah, well, I learned a lot more than I ever taught. I was very young then, but I worked in a school system in very rural Western Honduras, and it's an experience that's impacted my entire life.
Oh my gosh. We were having a conversation the other day, and I'm drawn to that area, and not because I have roots there like you do, but there's something about that, the energy and the culture of Costa Rica and Mexico that really lights me up. And I don't know why, but I need to spend more time down there.
Well, you're not alone. There's something very vibrant about Latin America and the culture and the people. And I just was in attendance at Let's Talk Hemp and NOCO's a small, very small, socially distant meeting called Conversations in Cabo. So I did have a chance to get down to the Baja Peninsula before Thanksgiving and really helped revitalize me. I speak fluent Spanish, so it's really wonderful to just interact with the locals. I will share one secret: go to the town of Todos Santos in the Baja, and you won't regret it.
I actually have a whole thing of Airbnb now for that area, and
Wonderful.
I can't wait. So before we get into our conversations, let me just reiterate that we have such a wealth of information. Steve has literally contributed to the heart and the pulse and the growth of these regenerative and sustainable and organic industries. So thank you for being here, Steve. This is very cool.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I want to, you talk about regenerative agriculture. I want to give credit to the mentors that I learned from. Really, I came into the sustainable food and agriculture late 70s, early 80s. But there were folks that were working on it before then. And actually, December 11th, right, 3 days from now, celebrates the 50th anniversary. And I want people to see this. This is Life magazine, right?
Wow.
And right here, this is from December 11th, 1970. And what does it say there? It says, organic food, new and natural. So I always wanted to know what happened to this model, Gunilla Knutson. She owned a health food store in December 1970, had to be California. But there's, so what's interesting about being a part of the natural industry is watching how it grew from just a movement into a very legitimate industry where actually all the innovation in food and nutrition is happening. I mean, all the big Fortune 500 food companies, what do? They buy natural and organic food companies because that's where the innovation is. Well, this is the second opportunity I get to see an industry transforming from a movement into a real industry, and that's the hemp industry. So I'm just really glad and proud to be a part of that. And how many people get to see two industries like birthed in their lifetime. So it's a gift, and I'm grateful.
Oh, I'm grateful for that too. And I want to make sure that we can all start off on the same page, because sometimes people hear regenerative and they're not quite sure what that means, especially when it comes to maybe the hemp industry. Can you speak to what regenerative means to the hemp industry, so we're all kind of starting off on the same footprint?
Thank you, Christy. Regenerative agriculture is a concept that's come to the fore in the last 5 to 6 years, although the folks that founded it is the Rodale Institute and J.I. Rodale way back in like 1940s. I think organic gardening first coined the term organic, and then I may be mistaken, I'll have to do my research, but I think around 1970 or so, that's where Robert Rodale came up with the term regenerative organic agriculture. And it does mean more than just organic. And again, check my research on that history, but it definitely is coined by the Rodale Institute. And the idea is, um, it's, it's not just about growing crops without toxic synthetic pesticides, carcinogenic pesticides, synthetic fertilizer that's derived from fracked natural gas. That's how conventional agriculture works. In conventional agriculture, they'll leave bare fields, acres and acres and acres of bare dirt fields. Whereas in regenerative agriculture, they might consider putting a cover crop on that, where roots of the plants then capture carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, pull it down. See, plants breathe carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is what is heating our planet and causing climate change. So regenerative organic agriculture actually pulls carbon out of the atmosphere where it does not belong, puts it back into the soil where it does belong, because the soils need carbon to create healthy living soils. I'm going to take us back to the 1930s when the USDA, before it became so inundated with pesticides and factory farming and large scale agriculture, really their 1930s manual for farming was an organic manual. And this is when soil conservation became really important, from the Dust Bowl. Well, we've got a new kind of Dust Bowl happening, and that's carbon out into the atmosphere, heating it. We're well above 350 parts per million, which Bill McKibben's been talking about for years. We're like at 420, not the kind of 420 we enjoy.
No.
But we're heating the planet, and beyond 2 degrees, it's where you're hearing about, the ice caps melting, things like that, which will cause, some pretty significant issues. So literally the solution is under our feet, the soil. If we can bring carbon back into the soil, regenerative agriculture can accomplish. Like, actually, there was a report from Rodale in 2015 published by the Wall Street Journal where we can actually remediate and reverse climate change just through our farming practices. Now, there are purists that will want it organic as well as regenerative, and actually that's kind of where I'm at. But I also like those that are out there teaching our America's farmers, like Gabe Brown. Look up Gabe Brown, or Ray Archuleta, the soil guy, former soil scientist at USDA. Now Gabe and Ray, well, I hope they're doing well during COVID, but they're traversing the country teaching people about teaching farmers how to improve their soil. When you come to it from that base common ground, pun intended, we can change, because agriculture, the way we do it today, industrial agriculture, is contributing like 1/3 to 1/2 of all greenhouse gases. We think it's oil and gas. We think it's industry. It's the way we do agriculture is a lot of it. I'm also going to bring up the way we produce animals, because regenerative agriculture actually, look into the Savory Institute, founded by the legend Alan Savory, who's helping in Africa and all over the world with regeneration. And when you look at their website, you'll see stark differences, literally on a fence line, between ranchers who are not doing it regeneratively and those that are. The grasslands have come back. The water tables have come back for those. Now, to me, I call it like the myth of cow farts. People are thinking, oh, it's cows that are causing all the problems, right? Well, no, it's not the cow, it's the how. It's the way we put them packed in feedlots or on concrete. Now, if those cows are out in pasture, what they're doing is they're pulling on the grass. They're deepening the roots as a result of that. They're also burping. It's really the methane is in the burps, not the farts.
Wow.
They're burping down into the grass where, get this, Mother Nature is amazing, exist what they're called methanotropic bacteria that eat methane. Well, those bacteria only exist in grasslands. They don't exist in concrete pads and dry packed dirt feedlots, which is, again, It's not the cow. The cow has a place in regenerative agriculture. It's the how. It's the way we produce, our protein in actually kind of unforgivable scenarios. So I'm a believer in regenerative organic role of livestock in that. I do eat grass fed. I try to be very conscious of it. The world could eat less meat, but the world does not need to eat highly processed GMO based veggie burgers. That doesn't do it for me either.
Nope, it's just another way to split open the guts and contribute to some of our fastest growing diseases.
I'd rather eat a consciously raised grass-fed burger than, and I'm not going to name names, but they're highly processed.
Yes. Yes. I also want to swing back to what you were talking about, the CO2, and do a shout out for Kiss the Ground, that movie.
Absolutely.
There was a moment in that movie where it really hit, like it shows through NASA's technology what it looks like when there's all the carbon dioxide in the air, not in the ground. And they also call this flu season because it's human toxicity season when we have all the carbon dioxide in the air contributing to whole lots of things like pollution, when it really needs to be pulled down into ground cover, like you were saying.
Oh, interesting. Like, because it's cold, all that greenhouse gas is sitting lower and we're breathing it in. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. And there's just more toxins in the air, and then that pollution just concentrates it. And
the brown cloud of Denver, right?
Yes. You think like Denver, oh my gosh, we're in the Rockies. Oh, it's so clean and the clean air, but Denver's actually a hot spot for.
You remember the pictures of Denver in the 1970s? It was polluted. It was one of the most polluted cities in the country.
I've seen it though when I'm driving into Denver, and I was shocked because you just don't think of the Colorado Rocky Mountain air as polluted, but it happens here too. And just that the diversity that happens when we have pasture raised animals versus confined and caged animals, because it is also that lack of diversity that we have in the soil, and that comes from the animals, that's contributing to the imbalances that we're seeing at high levels that are contributing to lots of diseases, both in animals and in humans and in the ground. The earth could really thrive. And I love that what you were saying about this is really the time to pay attention, because we can catch it, we can regenerate, and we can change what some people would say an inevitable extinction if we don't.
Well, I agree. And I want to go back to the film, the documentary Kiss the Ground. I loved that movie because a lot of my friends are in it, and some of the people that we're actually talking about today.
Yes.
It's on Netflix, so do watch it, and it gives hope and inspiration, which is really important right now. And we can change this if we set our mind to it. Of course, we're always battling forces that are entrenched, that have succeeded financially from the system the way it is. So change is always an uphill roll.
Yes, but you've contributed to it, so you know how to get us started and contribute to this huge momentum and movement. Because I feel like that movie and the institutes and the people that you're associated with in Colorado are fundamental, and it starts small, but it's like, look where organic and sustainable and regenerative has gotten now, and we're still just kind of beginning the regenerative process.
Well, the folks that I work with at Let's Talk Hemp, Morris and Lizzie, are very supportive of regenerative organic in hemp. Now, we work with a lot of people out there as the hemp industry really is just getting going. We had the elation of 2018. It's boom and bust. But I think there are a lot of lessons learned. And I think coming out of this pandemic, I'm really hoping and feeling like the hemp and cannabis industries are going to come out in a stronger place. So we support all innovation in industrial hemp and all its roles in food and medicine and building and fiber and fashion and all the things that it does. And we also want to promote regenerative and organic wherever we can, because frankly, again, that improves the soil. When it comes to, you know, CBD in medicine, I'm actually a core organic consumer. I don't want pesticide residues in my foods or my medicines, so I will choose the folks that have taken the trouble to actually get USDA certified organic with their hemp. I'm just going to encourage hemp producers to do that. Just don't say it, show me the seal. That's supporting that. And I will tell you, of all the industries out there, the organic food system by law is the only one that audits how your food has been produced from seed to shelf. You can track that product the whole way. So when I hear, you know, mainstream agriculture say, well, we can't do that, I'm like, well, the organic industry did because it had to.
Yeah. And they've got nothing to hide.
Hey, you know, my thought on when people say it's too expensive, I'm just going to say, if you think organic is expensive, try healthcare. It's the organic apple a day that keeps a doctor away, because based on USDA testing, even after you wash that apple, there are still 12 to 15 residues of pesticides in and on that apple that, you know, we don't need to eat.
No, and pesticides, I had to do a little research on Parkinson's. It's one of the leading one of the biggest contributors to neurodegenerative conditions like Parkinson's.
Yeah, well, the children, and this is a correlative study, but done by Nancy Swan, PhD, US Navy. Children near fields, like in California's Central Valley, have higher incidence of autism. Pesticides are definitely affecting us, you know. So with organic, again, you're just minimizing your dietary exposure to pesticides, also environmental exposure to pesticides. So there's some arguments for it. And I think the food is actually, according to some studies in my work with the Organic Center, which is a research group, they found that organic fruits and vegetables are 25% higher in key antioxidants and nutrients than mainstream counterparts, because what happens in mainstream is they're maximizing yield at the expense of nutrient density. So, you know, funnily enough, organic food actually helps promote satiety. So it can actually contribute to weight management and weight loss. There's another study I want to bring up here, and that is, and all this relates to hemp, the hemp flower. There's a Harvard researcher, also with Emory University, who studied school-age children outside of Seattle. He tested their saliva. They had dozens of pesticides in their saliva, eating a mainstream diet. He switched them to an organic diet. Within 48 hours, he could detect no pesticide residues in their saliva. Think of the difference in your kids' lives, because they're developing.
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely. Their brains, their bodies. So when you feed your kids organic foods, you are giving them maximum development potential.
I love this, because it's really important to understand that we don't get sick by accident and we don't develop a chronic disease overnight. These things take 10, 20 years to develop, but they could start off as runny noses, food allergies. They're all signs of systemic inflammation. So the sooner we can stop trying to cover things up, the sooner we can start, even our bodies are regenerative, our health is regenerative. But it does, to me, I'm a nutritionist, start with food. And I love this, because food, even though it sounds cliche, is medicine. Food in a black and white way, it either depletes you or it feeds you. And there are so many people that want to save money on food. And if you can just save money on maybe some supplements, not your hemp supplements, but your other supplements. And a lot of times people, like you were saying, they constantly are hungry because there isn't nutrient density in their food.
And so that actually is an issue.
Yes. I've had that experience.
There are some folks to follow out there to make it simple. It does not have to be expensive. Food Babe, the Food Babe.
Yes.
I love her, Vani
I love
Hari.
her.
Ashley Koff, Koff, is a really good friend of mine. And I've had her on my show, Compass Coffee Talk. And she talked about, we've got this interesting thing going on right now in the pandemic. And I'm guilty of it too, where it's like sales of dietary supplements are up, but so are sales of junk food.
I learned that from you, and I was so good. I've repeated that several times now because it's like, all right, you're like 400% more dietary supplements, 400% more junk food. So
yeah, we're stressed out, Take
I know,
your vitamin D.
And that's what's so important about
and
balance.
CBD.
Yes. Whether we're talking about the environment, the earth, our food, our health, we're really just trying to find balance. So we're not trying to rev things up. We're not trying to slow things down. But if we can just live more in balance with our food and our planet and where things come from, I think that over time and rather quickly, we will see, just like you said with the kids, we can see how this will impact our health, because it's less stressful on all of us if our friends and family and coworkers and ourselves are healthier, because it's one less thing that you have to try to get back and fight for.
Well, I think there's actually a lot of promise for hemp to be used in so many ways as we move forward. Agriculture processors, everybody's adjusting. My analogy here is, the lava is flowing, it's hitting the ocean. There's a whole lot of hiss going on there. It's kind of violent at that meeting spot. Some people are going to get burned, but there's new land being created. And that's kind of where we are. And then as that frontier advances, this new land we've created is going to, like natural and organic foods, incorporate itself more, and we will have to rely less on petroleum-based plastics and more on bio-based plastics that the promise of hemp brings. I want to just mention there are some take action steps. The U.S. Hemp Roundtable, hempsupporter.com, go there. There are take action steps there, because right now there's a bill before the House of Representatives in the United States that is going to make CBD officially recognized as a legal dietary supplement ingredient. And it is. I consider it just like echinacea or St. John's wort or, mushrooms, from Paul Stamets that I take for immunity. When I take my CBD tincture, it's a dietary supplement. Absolutely. And I love that, because of the vagueness in the legalities since it was made legal in the Farm Bill, we got to get the FDA to come along, and if we have to drag them, we will. So that's what this bill will do. And so support that bill, write to your congressman. There's some other action. I know HIA is supporting the Hemp Industry Association. Let me take a look on that.
And while you're looking, for everyone that's listening, I will be putting all these links into our comments. So it'll be a one easy click, paste, done deal.
Yeah, and I mean, we want to support these organizations. Here it is. HIA is doing a hemp checkoff survey. So go to Hemp Industries Association, check on that for the hemp checkoff program. Kind of like Got Milk, that's a checkoff program. So it's like Got Hemp. There's some stuff going on in New York State. If you go to letstalkhemp.com, you can check this. I think the biggest thing out there is HR 8179 to make CBD recognized as a legal dietary supplement. Kind of wrap it up, worldwide, what has been really promising in the last couple of weeks is that Mexico just legalized cannabis. So we are now sandwiched, the United States, between two countries where cannabis is legal federally. Now, of course, Mexico's got to sort it all out, but they will.
But they're considered to be you might have even read this, that they might be the world's largest cannabis market?
More reasons to go to Baja California.
Well, yes, but how does that affect the US?
I think that it continues to drive the US to recognize cannabis as a legal plant. And this segues for me that I wanted to bring this up. Morris Beagle and I co-wrote an article about is hemp paleo?
Oh,
Interestingly
wow.
enough, what I learned in that research was that the cannabis plant, its origins are from high elevation, 11,000 feet on the Tibetan plateau, 26 million years ago.
Holy moly.
There is evidence that the Denisovans, which literally are ancestors to Homo sapiens, they were also in this area, and there's evidence that they were using cannabis and hemp as food, as medicine, as far back as 26,000 years ago. We also know that hemp seeds or cannabis seeds were traded along the Silk Road, one of the first commodities to be traded along that Silk Road, like age of Genghis Khan. So given that it's humans or pre-humans have been using it for 26,000 years, I would say it's paleo.
I would absolutely agree. And I would like to see the paleo market embrace hemp better or more, because it is a food, it is a supplement. It does help with performance and anti-inflammatory, and it works everywhere in the body. So paleo people, ancestral eaters and ancestral, that market can really benefit from hemp for many, many reasons, but health, prevention, and obviously immune support too right now.
It's very nutrient dense. It's plant-based.
Yes.
And
then
ahead.
really organic too, because China is also financially invested in developing their industrial hemp market too. So we don't want to see more of those products, in my opinion, come in. We really want to keep it sustainable and organic and within the US, because we still have a long ways to go to get our people healthy, and we don't want to go for the cheapest product. We want to go for the healthiest product.
It's about value, right? So the value of organic, the value of nutrient density, the value of regenerative agriculture. I'm going to go back to my dad telling me, if you buy the cheapest pair of shoes, you got the cheapest pair of shoes. They're going to fall apart on you. If you buy good shoes, they're going to last you a long, long time.
Absolutely.
So where's the value?
I want to back up for just a second. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, I learned this from Zach Bush. He went in to do, him and a whole host of scientists went in to explain the epigenetic or the generational effects of Roundup and glyphosate to the EPA. And like, hey, we just have to stop this. And back up one more step, hemp is a soil remediator. So this is another reason why we need organic and sustainable and regenerative. So they went through 97 studies explaining how important it is to get this out of our environment, because not only are 52% of kids under the age of 16 have chronic diseases, but that is only going to exponentially grow. And the EPA said, this is actually not anything we need to listen to, because in 2017, they passed a bill that made it illegal for the EPA to look at generational studies. So people like you who have a voice in so many platforms, this is huge, because we're not going to get this information from the mainstream.
I think the suppression of science and the division of where people in our country are getting their media information from is dangerous. Science is why we are where we are. When we suppress science, I think you can kind of see every day what's happening right now. So, and this is a plant that is going to have a renaissance now, hemp, because really it was illegal for 80 years. So why? There are numerous potential reasons, and I don't think we have to go into this, but Jack Herer's book, The Emperor Has No Clothes, is a really good study on kind of the history of the prohibition of cannabis. And poor hemp got lumped into that. Really, it is all one plant. Yeah. It's just, what produces more THC, that's that variety. Like my low acid tomato variety over here is, producing less THC, but more CBD. And then, of course, all the spectrum of cannabinoids in between. Yeah. So, pick your variety for the medicine that you choose. The food possibilities. So I'm just glad it's out from under the politics. Yeah. Not completely. We still have a lot of politics to deal with regulatory wise and passing bills to get it legal. But it just seems really strange to me to be making this is the promise, is that throughout the world Health Organization and the United Nations descheduled cannabis so that it's now not considered like technically a class 1 felony drug. Now it can be considered for medicine. Now research can be applied to it. We have not been able to study or research this plant legitimately. So we're going to see a real renaissance come with this, and it's going to bring a lot more natural and sustainable alternatives. So I remain hopeful with the promise of hemp, the promise of natural health, natural lifestyles. And again, think about how you can support organic for yourself and your family, because it will keep you healthy for a lot longer. And again, the organic apple or the organic CBD a day will keep the doctor away.
I love this. And I love that with this movement, I know we got to wrap it up here in a second, that we're going to be training, we're going to see more doctors and practitioners and chiropractors and acupuncturists and homeopaths addressing the endocannabinoid system. So this is going to go hand in hand. The availability of cannabis, of hemp, the understanding of the system that it works on, the benefits. Hopefully we get to the point where hemp is considered an essential nutrient, not just for humans, but also for the planet and animals too, because they're very similar to us.
Well, I actually think there's potential in the practitioner market. I think they need to be educated about CBD too. So, when you go to your naturopath or you go to your chiropractor and they recommend a supplement for you and they pull it out of their little dispensary, and you're buying supplements, right from your doctor. Yes. Because even just personal experience, I know, practitioner of mine said, I haven't found a CBD product yet that I want to recommend for my patients. So I just thought of that. And I worked in the practitioner market with a dietary supplement brand. So right now you can buy your CBD in natural food stores, support the independent natural food stores like never before. Everybody's hurting. Yeah. And that's where you can find your CBD. You can find it online, but you got to be a discerning shopper online. Absolutely. Right. And people can go to seed2system.com, right, and learn about your products. But I also think the practitioner market is a market that the CBD brands should be reaching out to and exploring more. You guys got that?
I hope they do, especially if there's practitioners listening, because what I've been noticing, I used to work solely with practitioners, is that when enough of their patients start to come in and say, I'm using CBD, and they see how it's working, sometimes this momentum actually comes from us educating them. And then finally, they're like, you're the 5th person I've seen today ask me about CBD or tell me it's working for their migraines or their sleep or their pain. And this moment is just, it has to come in through many different avenues, but being an advocate for your health and sharing what you're doing with your doctors and your practitioners goes further than, just your own health. It helps educate them too. And sometimes that's what it takes, you being the 4th or 5th person every single day that the doctor hears CBD from him. They'll make the jump. And once they do, boy, oh boy, are they going to go headfirst into the fascinating ways that the endocannabinoid system is so important, so important. We don't have to go off on that because Lord knows I love that topic. So I want to just keep talking, but we got to wrap it up. Any closing thoughts?
I would say subscribe to Let's Talk Hemp. Go to letstalkhemp.com. We publish weekly, so it's not in your face all the time, but it's a really good wrap up of news and features to stay in touch with the hemp market. If you're in the business, it's important to stay in touch with what's going on, to be able to seize on opportunity. If you are an advocate, there's so much going on and so much innovation. Check it out. And it's not just CBD. I think CBD opened a lot of curiosity about hemp. And again, it just got oversaturated, but it's resetting. And now I think it's time for real education, real research that scientists can now apply. And it can be used in a variety of ways for us, for our pets.
Yes.
I'm petting my kitty, my 18-year-old kitty down here, and I give her CBD every day.
Oh,
and I've been taking mine nightly, because again, we're all dealing, I think, with quite stressful times, and we need to recognize that.
yes.
Be patient with ourselves. And here's Jinx. She gets her CBD every day.
Oh, she's beautiful. Look at those eyes. Wow.
Yeah, and she insists on coming up here. So there you go. That's the benefit of working in the home office, right?
I know it is. I've got my two little dogs somewhere around here. I think they got removed because they get a little excited and noisy.
Yeah, well, I hear it's kind of gauche to show your pets, but I don't care.
Oh, I actually love it. I love it, like when someone's kid comes up, or it's like there's so many good things that are happening right now too. Like we are finding our tribe, and we are finding stuff to get passionate about, and we are finding new ways to connect and invest in our health too. And this conversation hopefully has changed a lot of people's perspectives and motivation around hemp farming and food.
One of the interesting things I've been finding about hemp and cannabis through all this legislative process is it is bipartisan.
Mm-hmm.
It is supported as well by conservatives as by progressives. There is common ground in cannabis and hemp. We need to find the common ground to heal our country.
Oh.
So right here, not only is it an opportunity as an integral part of the new green economy, but could it potentially help heal some of the divisions in our country? Maybe I'm hoping way out there. But as I heard the Reverend Jesse Jackson once say, as I had the opportunity to hear him in a small room, he said, "I am not an idealist. I am a realist with high ideals."
Oh, I love that this is a bipartisan plant. It can bring people together. It can make people healthier, can heal our planet. There's so many ways that we need to have that amen moment of what do we have in common? Less division, more in common, that middle road. It's on.
5 drunk guys in a bar start a fight, 5 stone guys in a bar start a band.
Well, so speaking of, you are a musician. We got to do a shout out to all those musicians, because music is also medicine. And so much of it has been inspired, and just because of this plant and because of the community there, this is fabulous. So we need to get back to having music and celebrations and more education, like you were saying too.
We will get there. Yes. Everybody stay safe, take care of each other. Listen to what people are trying to tell you about staying safe. Please, please, please. Christy, thank you so much for the opportunity to be your guest today. Support Seed to System, folks. Go to seed2system.com. Is that correct?
That's right. That's it, you guys. Thank you. Steve, last but not least, how do people get a hold of you? Is through Let's Talk Hemp, or if someone has to do a shout out to you or just give you a personal thanks?
You can write to editor@letstalkhemp.com, or you could visit my website for our PR and marketing agency, and we serve natural, organic, sustainable, and hemp companies at compassnatural.com, like the north, south, east, west, compassnatural.com. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. I will be putting all this in the notes. Everyone, thank you for listening. Remember to hemp your health, stay safe, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you, Steve. Bye.